you know. Such a pretty smile, I want to see it once in a while. But you were right for me. You were right for me.
In 3, 2. All right, it's time for another episode of Real Raw Recovery. I'm Joe Tilley.
Tyler Tilley.
Okay, Tyler Tilley, take it away. What's the reading for today?
Today's reading is called A Daily Tune-Up. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activity. How do I maintain, and that's Big Book, page 85. How do I maintain my spiritual condition? Question mark. For me, it's quite simple. On a daily basis, I ask my higher power to grant me the gift of sobriety for that day. Exclamation mark. I have talked to many alcoholics who have gone back drinking, and I always ask them, did you pray for sobriety the day you took your first drink? Not one of them said yes. As I practice step 10 and try to keep my house in order on a daily basis, I have the knowledge that if I ask for daily reprieve, it will be granted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I do that every day, and I mean, I've told you that before. A day does not go by where I don't start the day on my knees asking for help. And it's been like that since I was sitting in the treatment center 27 and a half years ago. I need that humbling. I need to humble myself in that way. It gets me out of my ego, like nothing else can or does. And it's because it's worked for me, because I've been able to maintain that conscious contact as a result. Why would I ever not do that? Why would I ever, try to get away from that? Why? I know from time to time, like there has been times over the years where I've been woken up, I was late, I got to scramble at the door, and I'm driving to wherever my destination is, and I might at that point say, oh God, I haven't done my prayers yet, and I might go through my prayers in my head. Like for me, my prayers are the same every day. They haven't always been like that, but for the past, for sure 10 years anyway. It's 3rd step prayer, 7th step prayer, 11th step prayer, and then the request to stay sober for that day. And I pray for my family and good things for people I know. That's it, and that's what I've done for a long time. Some kind of variation of that. And so to me, it's like, we're living with a life or death deal here. People die from this disease all the time, as we know. And why would I put myself in a position to where I'm not, like my buddy Jay says, he calls it his force field. He's got always got his knapsack with him. In his knapsack, he's got a big book. He's got a copy Back to Basics. He's got, the gratitude list that he has and other notes that he makes. And he calls it his force field. It's all in there. And he won't go anywhere without his force field. And why would I go anywhere without my force field? My force field, when I get on my knees in the morning, that's like putting up a force field around myself and asking for help to stay sober and all that. Why would I jeopardize, really, if it's a life or death, business we're dealing with here, this disease, why would I put myself in a position to jeopardize my life? So if I start my day on my knees and I do it that way, I've got the force field up. I've got a real good chance of staying sober today. there's always there. Of course, there's no guarantees, but when I start my day that way, there's a real good chance I think that I'm going to stay sober. So that's simplifying it, the best I can. That's maybe that's not enough. That's not all I need, but that's a great start.
Well, yeah, because the beginning portion of the reading says, every day is a day when we must carry a vision of God's will into all our activity.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I do, right, which I have been doing for, I guess, about 4 years now, 3 or 4 years now, is that daily review.
Right.
And that's another very helpful tool for me. And that's really helps me to kind of pull it together. That also helps me. I find that, when I do a daily review and I look back at my day and I see where I've screwed up or whatever, that's because of my awareness of that. I think the likelihood of me screwing up is lessened today, because I looked at that yesterday. The likelihood of me screwing up today is lessened. And then also, I'm also aware of the good things in my life that I'm doing too. It's because it's kind of like it's a bit of a gratitude list too. It's kind of like a gratitude. There's gratitude involved. And I'm not sure, but I think it all sort of, I think it all combines to just to make me a better person, right? I've got more gratitude. I'm more aware of my character issues, defects. And so it's all good. There's no downside, that's for sure. The only downside is it takes a little bit of time, but I think what helps me is I do my daily reading, like we do a daily reading. So in the morning I do my daily reading, and then I comment on my daily reading. I put a little note in my mailbox, I mail it to myself. And that is my response to the daily reading. So I do the daily reading, I respond to it, email it to myself. And that way at the end of the day, when I think about doing my review, I realize, I've already commented on my daily reading. I've already done the daily reading. It'd be silly for me to not just go through and review my day, because I've done the hard work already, So that helps me to commit. Makes it easier.
Would you say you're in the moment right now?
Yeah, because I'm nowhere else, right? My mind's nowhere else, right here. Yeah, I'm parked outside the walking trails at Wilmot Creek. Very nice here. No distractions, other than the guy getting in his car. Who was parked here. He went for a walk or something.
How often are you in the moment throughout the day? That's hard to say. Look, depends on the day, I suppose. But a lot of days, I get caught up in stuff. Throughout the day. Are you constantly going from one activity to the next?
That happens a lot. Yeah. Not constantly though. No, there's a lot of times in the day where I'm not doing anything. Like just about every day, except right now I got a sore heel, so I can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
But just about every day, your mom and I go for a walk together, and I'll walk and talk, and and it's a lengthy 1 hour or more. And I
Walking,
and
talking,
when
gossip.
yeah, walking and gossip, the walking gossip talk. No, no, it's just yeah, it's great because we were able to talk about stuff that we need to do, and yeah, it's great. But also, when she had the hip problem, I would walk by myself, or you know, I'll go to the gym and I'll be in a zone, or yeah, and that happens daily. I do every day. I do something generally. So yeah, I do have a lot of alone time or peaceful solitude, I guess. Um, but I do get caught up in stuff. Not every day. I wouldn't say I go from place to place to place to place to place. Some days it feels like that though. Because today, for example, we're gonna go do a podcast, sports show,
Right.
and then we're gonna probably just go for lunch or something, and then we're gonna go to the Leafs game, and yeah, that'll be the day. So that doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
It does sound like a lot.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's to me.
Right. But you're doing a lot. You do a lot too. You're doing a lot of work on your art, and
I spend all day, every day with myself.
yes, that's
And-
right.
And I think that's kind of drummed up this whole, like, in a certain way, it can be very like taboo, I guess, because what I was, what's been not what I was taught. I won't say that, but what has been discussed or what I've observed a lot of time, especially in meetings, is like isolation is the devil in so many words, and it's kind of like
No, yeah, okay, go ahead.
And I definitely can see why you would say that, and I can definitely see some of the pitfalls that I personally experienced with spending such a remarkably long amount of time over the course of a long time with just my thoughts. And it's really been extremely eye-opening, even what I would qualify God as, and everything has changed for me rather dramatically because of the amount of time I've spent with myself, and like the prolonged periods of just my thoughts, and like one part of me won't know the answer and the other part of me will know the answer, and like trying to put the two at a table and have them talk it out and figure it out. It's like very, very interesting behavior, like being alone like this. And so it's just kind of like when you ask me, like, yeah, does that sound like a busy day? For me, it is. Like, for me, an event is to get food. Like, that's an event. And that's why I couldn't talk to you earlier today. It's like, no, I really,
Gotta eat.
well, no, it's not just got to eat. I got to leave the house to eat, or I got to figure out, am I going to have it delivered? And I'm going to have to interact with that individual that delivers it. And like there's a lot of processing that, like, things that go without saying in your day to day, but in my life are like what you do in a day is what I might do in a week. Might.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's just like very, very different. And I'm also right now, especially, like, I've even I've crunched down because I'm working on three commissions.
Wow.
Well, and one that I haven't, that's waiting to. So I really, and then I'm forecasting with and planning some of my events to come down that are coming down the pipe and stuff. So I just feel like, okay, I really need you to finish these, because that would be in your best interest. That would be what's best for you. So if you can sacrifice even more of your time to get these done and get these behind you and give it like, and put in more effort than you have before as well, which is, you know, like almost humbling to say, but like even more, it's hard to say for some reason, but like, and it's like, yeah. And so like I put a lot, and then like I remember talking to a guy at a meeting, probably this conversation happened a month and a half ago, and he was reaffirming what I was saying earlier. I said like, he said, oh, I asked him what he's up to, or he threw it back at me. He said like, what are you up to? And I said, oh, all I do is paint, man. Like that's all I do. He goes, oh, that's not good being an alcoholic by himself. And I'm like, actually, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Like,
well, it was yeah, that's right.
But hear me out. So like, there's a few things like, but like, so, but you got to remember, because I grew up in a philosophy where like kind of everyone has their own path in the program, and that's one of the beautiful elements. But there is like an underlying doctrine that, you know, of that does state things, and then there are philosophies that get thrown out at meetings, like, and you can go anywhere in the world and you're going to hear, even though it's not in the big book, you'll still hear like 90 meetings in 90 days, don't get a girlfriend, but like, you know, even though it's not in the big book, it's funny how there are like there should be an additional text called meeting rumors.
Right.
Because it's like,
or how about some advice to ponder.
Right, but like just rumors.
Suggestions that might work. Right.
Right.
Suggestions that might work.
I like my title. Rumors, right? Like people hear
rumors, rumors, yeah.
They just oh, my sponsor told me that, so that.
Right.
And anyways, and one of them, just to tie it all back in, is that like because I do believe there's like a difference between like having a period where like I'm just, I don't know how to use the word correctly, but it's solace, where I'm just completely at one with myself and in the moment, right? And that can like go throughout the day. And then there are times where I'm like, oh no, you're just isolating. Like you need to interact with other human beings, especially with other human beings that have similar interests and similar like certain characteristics and certain you know, things that are on the same, we're on the same wavelength. And I think that hasn't changed, but just the amount that I'm doing that has changed significantly. And I don't see this being like a forever kind of platform that I'm doing. I do believe that I'm kind of in a university, and my own personal university, and I can see the growth and the changes and the progress that I've made, like clearly. And no, I think it's good. Like, so, like I think it was maybe Blaise Pascal who said man's biggest problem is his inability to be in a room alone, and that's, you know, something I think obviously you've mastered that because that's not a problem for you. I think what happened, I think the isolation thing, the reason that's a problem for a lot of alcoholics, especially newly in recovery, because our thoughts are crazy thoughts. Right.
And we're used to having these crazy thoughts. You're a long way removed from having thoughts about drinking or using, right? I would say. I'm just going to venture to guess, right?
No.
And so what I'm no, okay.
Like,
okay. Well,
not in the same, no, but like my thoughts are very crazy is what I was what I would object to.
Okay.
So
anyway,
I have very crazy thoughts.
Right. But what I'm I guess what where I was going with this is that we can find a way to sort of more or less harness our thoughts, right? Like, I mean, the way I harness my thoughts, for example, is if I find my brain going in a direction that I don't like, you know, like if I'm obsessing about something, a tool that I like to use a lot is the Serenity Prayer, and it helps me to change my thinking and change the direction of my thinking. And a new thought will pop into my head. That works for me a lot. And so it's when I think people who are newly in sobriety, it's easy for them to go back into their old way of thinking. And I think the newer you are, the easier it is to go back in the old way of thinking. The more I isolate, if I'm a newcomer, the more I isolate, the less chance I have of getting new positive ideas in my head, because I keep spinning the same old shit into my head, right? And I think what happens is after a while, after a while in recovery, we've gained that ability to harness our thoughts a little bit, and I think that can happen more and more. And obviously with you, it's, you're in a place. I'm going to guess there probably are times when you might be obsessed and there might be some negative thoughts moving in, but I'm guessing that maybe that doesn't last, or maybe that's when it's time to get out of yourself and maybe get to a meeting or something. I don't know. I can only speculate, but that's what I'm guessing, because I think that's what I do. If I'm having a hard time with my thoughts, I can get out of that by even, calling somebody, sponsee, meeting somebody for coffee, breakfast, whatever. And I can get back. I'm back on the rails, right?
I think, there's what's the word for physical exercise? Like, there's not exercise for your brain. What's
mental exercise?
Mental stability, maybe. Just for
mental aerobics.
Or yeah, but I think for what better describes it as, and then I'll end with this, is like, for example, mental stability. I'm really like dialed in with when I'm stable and when I'm not. And
okay.
When I'm locked in, when I'm not, when I caught myself pacing today, but which sounds probably unstable, but it wasn't. But I asked for guidance. I said, what do I need to do? And then my answer came, and it was have a shower. And I had a shower, and then I said in the shower, now what do I do? And remember, and then what do I do?
And then what do I do? Yeah.
And then I was like, you got to go eat, because you got to after you eat, you need to have this call between us, right?
Right.
But as funny as like showering and eating, I really couldn't pull the trigger on any of those things. That's why I was pacing, like not frantically, but just really like, because I also had some other news. I pretty much closed the deal on this one painting. And so I was feeling good. I was very it was an optimistic pace, but I couldn't figure out my next like immediate to-dos. And I get a little confused about food sometimes, because I live in Thailand, and Thailand food choices can be very critical, like there's a lot more that goes into them. For me, food is a weird thing for me to begin with. But my point is this, I think this is kind of relevant. So I watched the new movie called The Joker. Have you heard of it?
Oh, you did, eh? Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
And after I watched it, I thought it was very good. Like, so without even, but it was good enough that it made me feel like it's dark. It's super dark.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of like I'm just falling into like what everyone else says, but it's pretty damn true. Like it's really dark. So I felt that, and to kind of balance that, I played over the course of 2 or 3 days. I played the audiobook called Siddhartha, and I listened to Siddhartha, which was a recommendation from my mom.
Right.
And Siddhartha is literally the exact opposite of what the Joker is. Like, literally, Siddhartha meets Buddha, literally, in the novel.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? There's nothing more far removed than the Joker.
Okay.
Like, the Joker is the antithesis of Siddhartha.
Okay, nice.
But I knew I needed that. I knew that I needed the Joker as much as I needed Siddhartha, and I had to go through both. And I
Okay.
suppose if I read Siddhartha first or listened to Siddhartha first and then watched the Joker, I still would have needed to follow up with perhaps a speaker or something, or uh, a witty comedian, not like a dark comedian. Like, so I would have needed to.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, not even like, maybe that's a bad example, but like
Yeah.
something that would change the dynamic of my stability, because that's all. Like, these are, but it's funny about Siddhartha is like it talks about that you need, like, it was really kind of eye opening. Is like, as much as you might not want to watch the Joker or not need it or not, like it's without the Joker, there's no Siddhartha, and it's almost like it made Siddhartha better because
I see. Yeah, yeah.
I needed something healthy and something wholesome because
Right.
I was lopsided.
Yeah, so somehow that balance, like the balance of almost good and evil type thing, or positive and negative, or whatever.
Yeah, and
Or
so really,
yeah,
like, that's what happens when you're alone, is you really figure out, like, where am I? Am I like, okay, where am I stable? Where am I lacking? Where am I, like, oh, I'm feeling like extra abundant. Okay, so maybe you can take a break from your pain. Like, there's so many like little nuances and little minute decisions that go into my day to day. That when you talk about, like, I'm gonna go here, then there, and then do this tonight, it's like, what? Like, I don't know why at the moment, like, I can't even wrap my head around that.
yeah,
I just can't. So I don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think this one should be called Joker versus Siddhartha.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't remember what we started with. I mean, yeah. But Joker versus
you had your monologue about.
Oh yeah, about getting about starting the day. How you start your day. Starting your day with a prayer and meditation and but it's I haven't seen Joker. I don't think your mom wants to see it, so it's gonna be hard to. I mean, she knows it's dark and it'd be hard. So there's part of her I think that wants to see it too, but I don't know. I might see it. I might not see it. I don't know.
I'm probably going to convince her, because I'm going to talk to her and tell her
yeah.
experience. Because if you just take it for face value and call it art, like the actor
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
is truly like an artist.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine, like, I think the way to get out of yourself and just call it like a dark movie or kind of like a waste of time would be like, imagine you were presented with this role. You were going to be given $20 million to perfect it. And how are you going to do that?
Right.
And then
how does he differ from, like, just a little off track, but how does it differ from Heath Ledger's version of the Joker? Like, remember how I think that the rumor has that Heath Ledger got really screwed up by playing that role.
And he killed himself
because
and then won the Oscar as a ghost.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it? But do you see some similarity, some connection there between what Joaquin Phoenix does and what Heath Ledger did, or?
Well, you would even be good because you studied drama, right?
Right.
So like I just think you have to ask yourself, like, you kind of, like, you in a movie like this, it's not a role where you're just gonna get paid like you're playing Iron Man, like Robert Downey.
Right.
Like
right.
He's also actually like a personal, like, I look up to that kind of guy because he's also clean and sober. But like,
right.
He's fantastic. He's a wrong example, but like, you're not just playing a role that, like, A, you're gonna get paid, and B, like this was such like a long awaited, especially with all that pressure, like, because there was a really great actor named Jared Leto played the Joker in between Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And Jared Leto's already an Oscar winner and a hell of an actor. but he failed miserably at his attempt. It just didn't have the right. There was a lot of reasons why he might have had a better shot at it with a different writer and stuff, but like with what he had to work with, it failed as far as society state. Anyways, and then Joaquin, I just feel like there's just levels to this game, and it would be really easy to at least, even if you like Heath Ledger better or you will like Joaquin Phoenix better, at least they're in the same ballpark now.
Right.
So I wouldn't pick one or the other, because even if I watch Heath Ledger again, he's still like his role. Like, so it's almost like you get given this opportunity, which is really going to last a lifetime or two, to portray a character that's so like not even demonic. That's why it's a twist. It's a little bit about mental health, because he has. In this movie, they actually go into quite a bit of depth. Like, you have mental problems. Like, you have
how he became what he was. Yeah.
But not just like saying, oh, he's just an evil man. No, he had mental problems. So now that's why it's actually caused a lot of controversy. Because what you're saying is what mental people are actually bad. Well, in his case, yes, he lost his marbles, right? Like.
Sure.
So imagine now you're going through this whole like process of watching a man unravel on cinema, like in a movie.
Wow.
So like I think you should watch that and make your own conclusions, or come to your own conclusions.
Determination, yeah.
But imagine watching a man unravel that you actually believe, not just like a sitcom. Like, you're watching somebody go like, I'm going to show you how somebody would actually unravel is close. And then, of course, adding Hollywood to it. But, like, you're still watching a master. Like, you're not watching, like, going, oh, look at like somebody acting. You're like, this guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. So that's why I think the Heath Ledger thing is like, yeah, like if you're going to go all in on something.
Right.
Without, like, even when you go home, it's not like that's why these guys get so wrapped up, and it's like, it's all of a sudden like you don't even break character. Imagine you doing that. Like, imagine you playing something for 6.
Yeah, because you have to get right into it. I mean, just right into it.
Have you ever?
So I could see how disturbing that would be.
Have you seen Jack Nicholson getting wound up before The Shining?
No.
It just makes you go, oh my God, these guys are like the masters. When they're in it, they're like in it.
Yeah.
Like, you should see how because I believe The Shining is a Stanley Kubrick film, and they have a behind the scenes of Jack Nicholson just before he's shoving the axe through the door. With his famous line, "Here's Johnny," which was
"Here's Johnny." Yeah,
that was pure improvisation.
Yeah.
Like that, and so you see how like he's like a fighter in the ring.
Right.
He's jumping up and down, and it doesn't matter who's in the room, and it doesn't seem like he even like, okay, he's
oblivious to everything going outside of him.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody and then you add talent to that, it's not just like having a boxer who's like in the zone and then just goes out there and gets knocked out. Like, these guys are like
Glass Joe. Glass Joe.
Like, this is Muhammad Ali doing, like, Joaquin Phoenix on that level where you're just like, you're the greatest, man. Like, who can do that? Yeah,
that's cool.
So that's why
having said that, having what you said, I think I might, a challenge. I mean, the only sort of drawback I could see for me would be that because you know how you described it as being so dark. It's so dark that, can I recover from this right away? I mean, after just seeing it, right? Am I going to be able to recover and be at peace right in a short period of time? So that's, I guess, my fear is, right? My fear.
So just
I'll watch this and you'd be affected by it.
And just go to a meeting or do whatever you do when you have like a bad.
Yeah. That's good.
It's like watching a bad day. You know, like when you have a bad day,
Yeah.
you get through a bad
Real
day.
bad day. Real bad day.
But then you get like the reason why I'll convince Mom is because, again, if you look at it like art, right? It's just like a really bad piece of art, but it's in a museum and it's worth $100 million, and you got to see it once. You're like if you look at a Francis Bacon painting, they're super disturbing, and he a real person who unraveled in his life, and he painted as he unraveled. And again, his paintings are worth millions and millions of dollars, but if you look at them, they'll make you feel terrible. But you should see a Francis Bacon painting, or
right.
You know.
Yeah. Cool. All right, ready to wrap it up?
Yeah. How much of that should we leave in the podcast?
Well, quite a bit. Just all the stuff like when we talk about names at the beginning, no. But yeah.
Oh no, I mean.
Yeah.
The Joker.
Oh no. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Oh yeah. I think so.
Yeah, because I could call it like a Joker.
I think it's all relative. It's it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's where we went, right? Okay. God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference.